last night a Denver Nugget source called Hansen Yang a Chinese Jokic. And while that statement is ridiculous at face value, there's a lot of truth between their offensive versatility that's hidden. Hansen Yang went number 16 overall in the NBA draft for the Portland Trail Blazers, a lot of people expecting him to go late first round, early second round. So there's a lot of questions on what the Portland Trail Blazers see in him. What's the hidden upside here? Does he have some superstar upside that people aren't seeing? Mike Schmidt is a leader of Portland Trail Blazers scouting, and he's always made some big risks. Look at Shaedon Sharpe, he didn't even play in college yet. They took him at 7 overall because of his untapped offensive upside. And I think this pick is somewhat similar to that. Yang is a 7'1" Chinese big who played in the CBA and produced very well, averaging 16 points, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks, was a 12-time CBA All-Star in his time there. Most of Yang's appeal offensively comes from his post-scoring upside, uses a plethora of footwork, pivots, off spins to just flow his way into the paint, and it's very beautiful to watch. He's very good at establishing position early in the post and finding ways to get a lot of touches. This combination of size, good scoring, feel footwork, establishing the ball in the post, good IQ, and ability to have soft baby feet touch is very rare to see in a prospect, and you can quickly see why. Portland was so intrigued in Hansen Yang. If you're Portland and you're picking outside the top 10, you want to find players with unique and rare skills. And Hansen Yang might have some of the rare skills in this draft class. The post scoring is a main swing for him, and if you're Portland, you're going to have to find ways to get a lot of touches for him early on, and I think Portland has a chance to do that. Aiden hasn't exactly thrived in Portland, but I do think the team has done a solid job giving him quality opportunities, getting him touches early in the offense, finding ways to get him in the post, and creating decent spacing around him. That gives me confidence they'll do something similar with Hansen Yang. They'll likely prioritize getting him involved early, letting him feel out the game. This situation reminds me a lot of Alperen Ion in his first 2 years in the NBA under Stephen Silas. The system lacked proper spacing. Even though Ion got touches, they weren't always in ideal conditions. But once Ime Udoka took over Ion's minutes, touches, and overall offensive freedom increased, and so did his production. Portland will need to do the same with Yang, give him space, freedom, and patience to learn how to handle NBA defenders. Now, it's true Young's post scoring in the CBA came against weaker, less athletic competition. But there's an important trade-off to consider. Although the defenders were smaller and less explosive, Yang constantly faced help defense. His team lacked spacing, so he was regularly scoring through double teams in crowded lanes. That experience of operating in traffic could serve him well in the NBA with better floor spacing. I think that same skill set might actually flourish more easily. Portland does have a challenge here. They don't have many high-level passing guards. Scoot Henderson has some playmaking upside, but he's still developing. Shaedon Sharpe isn't that kind of passer yet. Deni Avdija has some secondary playmaking skills, but overall, Yang will need teammates who can deliver the ball to him in good high-leverage spots. That'll be key to maximizing his scoring inside. The risk with Yang as a post player is clear. He's coming from a league where the athletic level is lower, and great post scorers are rare in today's NBA. But we've seen outliers succeed, Jokic and more realistically, Alperen Egan again. I keep returning to Egan because he's a great example of how a smart, skilled big man with footwork, vision, and craft can develop into a real offensive weapon. It'll be a steep learning curve early on for Yang. NBA defenders are much stronger and more athletic than what he's faced, but spacing can soften that blow, and Yang has the tools, size, movement, and IQ. I trust high-IQ players, especially those with legit size. Hansen Yang is 7 feet tall and shows great movement and feel on offense. That's a rare combination, and I believe he'll figure out how to score effectively in the league. More importantly, Yang's offensive upside isn't limited to post play. As I mentioned earlier, he's a highly intelligent player and an advanced passer for his age. Yes, he makes mistakes, but his ability to manipulate defenders with his eyes and deliver creative passes is special for a 19-year-old big. His short roll playmaking and passing out of doubles could be huge assets when Yang's not posting up or initiating from the top. His roll gravity is also a huge benefit. In the CBA, defenders aggressively blitzed or stayed glued to him in the pick and roll because he was such a dangerous threat. Even there you saw his decision-making pop. I expect something similar in the NBA. Teams won't want a skilled 7-footer catching the ball with momentum in a size mismatch, whether that's against the low man or in space. When analyzing Hansen Yang's potential in the NBA, especially with the Portland Trail Blazers, it becomes immediately clear that this is not your average developmental big man. Yang's skill set, decision-making, and offensive versatility paint the picture of a modern NBA center, someone who could thrive not just in traditional post-ups but across a variety of offensive actions. However, like many prospects transitioning from the CBA to the NBA, his game also presents some major question marks, particularly on the defensive end and the glass short roll. Passing, elite instincts for a young big. One of Yang's most impressive traits is his ability to make the extra pass. In today's NBA, the short roll decision-making role has become one of the most valuable skill sets a big man can have. With teams increasingly blitzing pick-and-roll actions, the ability to make a quick read from the middle of the floor is crucial. This is where Yang shines. When he catches the ball around the free throw line or elbow off the short roll, he doesn't panic, he makes snappy, intuitive decisions. Whether it's kicking it out to the corner for a three or hitting a cutter, diving from the wing, Yang's passing vision and timing are advanced for his age. If Portland can put him in situations where he's attacking from the middle of the floor, he'll punish defenses with quick reads. This skill becomes even more potent when you imagine him paired with a high-level ball handler like Deni Avdija. While Avdija may not be a traditional point guard, his ability to run the pick-and-roll and manipulate defenders would synergize well with Yang's instincts as a short-roll creator. That pairing could become a dangerous offensive wrinkle for Portland down the line. Developing a mid-range game, the next step in scoring versatility right now. Hansen Yang is not a shooter and he doesn't need to be. He shot just 26% from 3 and around 70% from the free throw line in the CBA, which are modest numbers. However, his touch indicators, his soft finishes around the rim and ability to finesse passes suggest there's a foundation to build upon. In particular, his potential to develop a reliable push shot or mid-range jumper from the free throw line area could open up his game even more. He doesn't need to become a floor-spacing big who launches from deep. What he needs is to become a credible threat in the middle of the floor. If he can knock down short jumpers or floaters consistently, defenses will no longer be able to sag off him, and that opens up his passing lanes. Adding that push shot to his arsenal would prevent teams from overloading the paint and give him more ways to score. Outside of traditional post-ups, comparisons to Alpern and Yenin are once again appropriate here. Yenin entered the league with limited shooting range but has since expanded his offensive bag with improved touch from 10 to 15 feet. Yang could follow a similar trajectory, not becoming a full-on stretch 5. But a player who can punish defenders for giving him space. Dho actions and offensive versatility. Yang also thrives in dribble handoff Dho situations. He's surprisingly nimble when operating from the elbows, capable of smoothly transitioning from the handoff into a screen or slipping into open space when defenders overcommit. He resets possessions well, doesn't force the action, and always keeps the ball moving. This is part of what makes him so unique as a prospect. He's capable in the post, he's smart in the short roll, he can make plays in dribble handoffs. Very few 7'1" players are comfortable in all three of those areas. That's why Portland took a big swing on him in the draft. They see a potential offensive hub who can facilitate and finish plays alike. Roll gravity and playmaking threat in the CBA. Yang's roll gravity was overwhelming. Defenders would often commit early to stopping him because he was so dangerous once he got the ball on the move. That created natural advantages for his teammates in the NBA. While defenders are faster and more physical, the same principle applies. Teams will have to respect a 7-footer who can catch in stride, take a dribble, and either finish over the help or deliver a slick bounce pass to a cutter. Because of his threat level in pick-and-rolls and his passing touch, Yang becomes much more than just a finisher. He's a playmaking big, a high-Q connector who reads the floor, keeps the ball moving, and puts pressure on the defense in multiple ways. Expanding the offensive ceiling. What makes Yang particularly exciting is that his offensive game isn't static. He's constantly experimenting. Whether it's testing a push shot, trying a no-look pass, or spinning off a double in the post, he's already trying things that many young bigs are afraid to. This willingness to push his own limits is part of what makes him special. If he continues to grow his skill set while being surrounded by teammates who complement his strengths, pass-first guards, shooters, cutters, Yang could emerge as Portland's best long-term offensive big. The theoretical upside is immense, and the signs of it are already visible. Defensive concerns, motor rebounding, and scheme fit, while the offensive upside is encouraging. Hansen Yang's development is not without risk. The biggest questions lie on the defensive end. His rebounding effort is inconsistent, and his motor often comes into question. Even in the CBA and later during his summer league stint, Yang didn't dominate the boards the way you'd expect from a 7'1" center. He has the size to grab rebounds, but he doesn't always fight for positioning or show the aggression needed to secure tough boards. Part of that may come from playing such a heavy offensive role in the past, and perhaps with a lighter offensive load he'll have more energy to commit to that end. Still, motor concerns don't just vanish. Portland will need to push him to bring consistent energy on the glass, especially against stronger, more physical NBA bigs. Defensively, Yang likely won't be able to switch or play at the level of the screen. He's not quick enough laterally, and putting him on the perimeter would expose his foot speed. Instead, his best role will be in deep drop coverage, where he can use his size to clog the lane and take away easy finishes. Even in drop, though, his effectiveness depends on positioning, awareness, and consistent effort. If he fails to contest shots or rotates late, he'll become a liability. Right now, he's more of a neutral to negative defender. Improving there will be essential if he's going to become a full-time starter in the league final. Outlook. betting on intelligence and skill. There are real flaws in Hansen Yang's game, but the strengths are harder to find in most young big men. He's smart, he's patient, he's a high-level passer. He can make plays in multiple contexts, post, roll, handoff, and at 7'1" with soft touch and offensive instincts. That's rare. If Portland surrounds him with the right personnel who can find him, shooters who create space, and defenders who can help cover for his weaknesses, they might unlock one of the most unique bigs in his draft class. He may not become an elite shot blocker or a high-motor rebounder, but as a connector, scorer, and floor reader from the 5 spot, Hansen Yang has a chance to be a foundational piece. It's going to take time and patience. The transition from the CBA to the NBA is a steep hill, especially defensively, but Yang has the intelligence, the offensive variety, and the size to eventually figure it out. The Blazers didn't draft him to be a traditional center. They drafted him to be something different, something modern, and in the ever-evolving NBA, that it might be exactly what they need. The Portland Trail Blazers made one of the boldest swings of the 2025 NBA draft by selecting Hansen Yang at No. 16 overall, a player widely projected as an early second-round pick. But digging into Yang's game, it's easy to see why they were willing to take a chance. He's one of the most unique offensive big men prospects in recent years. However, the questions surrounding his defense, mobility, and fit on a roster already loaded with big men make this a fascinating and risky move. Let's explore why. Hansen Yang's development could swing wildly in either direction, what makes him such an intriguing talent, and how Portland might make this work. A major red flag: perimeter defense and mobility. The biggest concern with Yang is his lack of lateral mobility, which severely limits his defensive versatility. In today's NBA, big men are often forced to defend in space, hedge on ball screens, switch on to quicker guards, or recover from traps. Yang will almost certainly struggle in all of these situations. His hips are notably stiff, which prevents him from opening up and sliding side to side effectively. That kind of limitation makes it nearly impossible to hedge or switch out onto guards and contest pull-up three-pointers. When defending pick and rolls, he simply can't get up to the level of the screen without risking getting completely blown by. To make matters worse, he doesn't possess a freakish wingspan or elite vertical pop that could help him recover after getting beat. That means he's not going to be the kind of player who surprises you with a chase-down block or last-second contest. So what can he be defensively? At this stage, Hansen Yang profiles almost exclusively as a deep drop coverage big. In that scheme, he can hang back around the paint, use his size to wall off drives, and focus on taking up space rather than moving around the perimeter. Fortunately, he has some qualities that could help him become a passable defender in this. Roll.IQ and instinct, the defensive equalizer. Despite his lack of mobility, Yang is a very smart basketball player. He has quick hands, excellent anticipation, and a knack for being in the right place at the right time. His feel for the game gives him an edge when he's forced to defend pick and rolls in drop coverage or guard post dash-ups. If you want a blueprint for how Yang might survive defensively, you look at players like Nikola Jokic and Alperen Ian, neither of whom are great athletes, but who've become passable team defenders thanks to elite positioning, timing, and understanding of space. Yang has a similar ceiling in that regard. If he can generate steals, contest just enough shots, and consistently rotate correctly, he doesn't have to be a lockdown defender, he just has to be playable. That's where the big question comes in: will he be playable? If his defensive limitations prove too great, it could result in an Ian's Cantor type scenario, where no matter how skilled he is offensively, he simply can't stay on the floor in high-leverage situations. That's the flaw of the Hansen Yang experience. And it's why, despite his offensive brilliance, he remains one of the most polarizing prospects in the draft. An elite level of creativity and touch on offense on the other side of the ball. The outlook is far more optimistic and, quite frankly, exciting. After watching hours of Yang's game tape, one thing becomes abundantly clear. This is one of the most creative, skilled, and instinctual offensive bigs to come into the league in years. He plays with flair and rhythm, using footwork and patience to create his own looks. He can post up, operate out of dribble handoffs, make short roll passes, and perhaps most importantly, make snap reads from multiple levels on the floor. His touch around the rim is incredibly soft, and he consistently finds ways to create scoring angles even against bigger or more athletic defenders. While he may not be a floor spacer yet, his offensive versatility gives him multiple paths to thrive. He doesn't need to score 25 points per game to impact a game offensively. He can facilitate from the elbows, serve as a hub in handoff sets, and create advantages in the pick and roll by drawing attention and moving the ball decisively. Players with this combination of touch, vision, and feel don't come around often, especially at 7'1". The context, Portland's draft philosophy, and big man Logjamang's selection is even more intriguing when you look at the current state of Portland's roster. This is a team that just drafted Donovan Klingon with a No. 7 pick last year, a traditional rim-protecting big. They're also paying DeAndre Ayton over $30 million per year. And they still have Robert Williams III on the books, though he's expected to be moved. It's not clear where Yang fits into this rotation immediately. Will he even play in year one? Will he spend time in the G League developing his body and adapting to the NBA pace? Or does Portland have a broader plan for how to stagger minutes and build around these contrasting skill sets? In theory, the Kling pairing could work. Klingon is the dominant rim protector who anchors the defense. Yang is the offensive fulcrum who facilitates and scores. It's a bit of a throwback, like combining a defensive anchor with an offensive hub in a classic two-big lineup, but with a modern twist. The question becomes, can they coexist on the floor, or will they always be staggered? A swing for the fences drafting Hansen Yang was undoubtedly a risky move by general manager Joe Cronin and the Blazers front office. But that's part of what makes this pick exciting. Just like with the Shaedon Sharpe selection, a raw but high upside scorer, Portland is showing a willingness to bet on upside. They're not just taking safe picks, they're trying to find stars. Yang isn't a safe pick, he's not polished on both ends of the floor. He comes with a steep learning curve, but what he offers is a chance to be the kind of player who changes how we view big men. His offensive feel and skill are rare. His playmaking from the post, elbow, and short roll can give Portland's offense a completely new dimension, and his high basketball IQ could allow him to survive on defense, maybe even thrive in the right scheme. Final thoughts. The beauty of the unknown there. Something special about players like Hansen Yang, players who don't fit neatly into existing boxes. Watching him play teaches us a lot as fans, analysts, and scouts. He forces you to reconsider how skills translate from league to league, how IQ can sometimes make up for lack of physical tools, and how modern basketball is increasingly about adaptability. Hansen Yang is not a finished product. He's a project with high variance, but the potential is real. And if it all clicks, if he becomes even an average defender while maximizing his offensive tools, then Portland may have just drafted one of the most creative and impactful big men of his generation. So while the risk is clear, the reward could be franchise-changing.